Just one sec. Okay, cool. It'll pop it open for you to do that here in a sec.
Okay.
It runs a couple seconds behind. But as we're here, we'll get some folks to see if we can get some people to chime in on where they're at. Maybe I got to pull some of these windows out so I can do some commenting. Golly, there's so many. How do I do this? What's the easiest way? Hey guys, as you're joining the live stream, we are live. As we're live, y'all feel free to let us know where you're from, tuning in from. Oh, he was already on it. And let us know what you've been digging so far in the calendar. That's what I'd like to hear too.
Yeah, first 10 days, you know, what are the favorites? And why was your favorite in the first 10 days Bikey's Blue? Was although I did poured a little bit of the double oaked. It is still very good.
Well, that's good. I would hate for it to not be anymore.
Yeah, but not why we are here tonight. We're here with, well, are we ready for intros and everything? And or give it a second.
I'd give it another couple minutes while everyone jumps in here.
Listen, I'll tell you that my favorite so far has been the Ambarana, straight off the bat, just for the huge spice Christmas forward notes. Like nothing embodies the Christmas holiday like an Ambarana. So
Blake definitely said, hey, let's really vet people out on whether they're committed to this calendar or not. Like sticking an Ambarana first.
Coming out, you're punching up. You're coming in with the weighted gloves on.
Yeah, let's make it ready for
it. Great Christmas.
Yeah.
Cheers. We got Denver, Colorado back in here. Dark Arts. We got a Dark Arts favorite popping in here. Look over here on one of these Instagrams. I don't remember which one it is. I think it might be my personal. I can't remember, but just ordered batch 2 Bikey's Blue. So that's pretty cool. Sneaking in there, batch 2. We got some South Carolina in the house. We got some DC in the house. All the C's. Cool. Guys, while you are heading in here, as a quick reminder, we are doing these lives through December, going through the Seelbach Advent Calendar. So if you got a Seelbach Advent Calendar, you're in the right place. In the day that we have, we're with somebody who's going to walk us through the tasting. If not, you're still welcome to join us. You can learn about the spirits, and this, I'll never point to this right. This QR code over here will take you to the Seelbach Advent Calendar page where you can see the types of offerings that we had and all those sorts of things, and keep up with what we're tasting through. Also, from that link, you're able to purchase bottles, as well as in the book, the QR codes are for that reason as well. We got some, look, Bikey's Blue was probably trash. I mean, he probably meant for that to be the trash can on fire, but it was just a fire emoji. So we got yo. We got someone who yo-yos, professional yo-yoer from Wisconsin.
Man, I feel like we're just bringing in Chris's life. You know, Wisconsin plays a role. Colorado plays a role.
Colorado, we got all the areas that I've touched base on before.
Yeah. Brian, I'm going to send you a different live stream code. I think I did that wrong.
Oh, well, I can edit this. I don't know that I can. Did you really do it wrong?
Well, I closed it out, and so yes, I do. You know, actually, speaking of, I was gonna say I finally fixed my audio. I don't even have my mic plugged in yet.
Look, I'm gonna try this, but I don't know. It might not let us. Let's see. Oh, it'll I think let me add another one. We're learning so many things today. Did you already send me okay, there it is. We are learning so much. And if we break the internet today, then then we break the internet. Okay, so I think is also there. Oof, that stinks. Hey, look, you can't. It's you gotta mask that like in a Victoria's Secret box or something, like something. I don't know. You gotta fix that. I will say this year I've been pretty annoyed this year because most everyone, my kids are homeschooled. My wife is at home, and I've had a lot of things show up at the house in marked packaging, and it's really getting me a little frustrated. So, oh man,
I like I've not been the one who intercepts any of the potential gifts showing up on the front door, and so it's been really difficult where you're like, well, obviously I'm addressing it to myself, but
that should be the giveaway is that
everyone look away as soon as you see my name.
And but yet man, this thing is on here. Well, cool. Let's jump in with a little bit of intros and everything. And I feel like this is a very fun one. And it's an interesting one because it's not out yet. And we could dive into some of the behind the scenes stuff. I think that's always pretty cool to hear about. And it's different stories. And Chris has a fantastic background and, the alcohol space in general. So yeah, let's jump in. For all those joining us, this is day 11 of the Seelbach Advent Calendar. I am Blake from Seelbach, joined by Brian from Seelbach. Brian, how's it going?
It is going great, Blake. I have a little bit of deja vu. I feel like we were just doing this, you and I, not a couple of hours ago.
5 hours ago. Yeah, well, and I'm still wearing the same sweater. I have made it to more work, a middle school basketball game, Costco, Chick-fil-A, and now I'm back at the office. So that's 'tis the season. But no, so we're joined tonight, Chris Chenot. What is the official title at Manifest? I just call you All Things Whiskey. I guess I could have asked that.
I guess I'm holding down the title of Director of Operations these days.
Right.
I am wearing a couple of hats all at the same time. It felt like it started as distiller, and then it just kind of elevated from there.
Whatever else.
Happy to be here. I'm glad to be joining the Seelbach team officially on a YouTube / Instagram, all kind of different socials. And I'm usually someone who's a little bit behind the scenes and quiet, and this is not normally my space. So thank you for inviting me to the forefront.
Hopefully it's low pressure. I mean, we're not professionals. We've done like a total of 4 of these so far. So
yeah, the camera looks good. The lighting looks good. I still can't grow a beard, so I'm jealous. But so for those who don't know, Manifest Distilling here in Jacksonville, just somebody we've been really connected with. I was telling somebody the story the other day. As an accountant, way back in the day, Manifest has celebrated its 10 years, but I did like the financial planning and budgets for Manifest to open. And me and the founder, David Cohen, have been friends for a long time. And that role, I'm no longer their accountant, so rest assured everything is intact. But that whole relationship is just funny how it's expanded. Now they do all the bottling for Seelbach, they do all the bottling for Bikey's Blue, as well as a bunch of other brands you'll see pop up on Seelbach. But yeah, this was kind of, and I was trying to go back and look at like when this idea really came about. And I think we all had talked about it at different times, or it's like, there's so much stuff out there. Like in sourced bourbon had kind of gotten a negative context. Like we should just have a label that's called sourced, and it's just going to be really good bourbon at really good prices. And that's when Chris really, picked up the ball and started running with it. So what has that process been like? And do you want to tease out a little bit of what the bottles may look like, how it's going to be packaged? And
absolutely. So, like going back to the history of it just a little bit, it felt like I started to pitch from, very much from the ground roots kind of program from the warehouse, being like, I think I see like an avenue for having a like no frills style bottle, right? Like let's do a direct to consumer barrel pick that almost like negates all of the packaging, the labeling, the big stuff that costs further down the line to the client. Like let's try to like cut some of that back. And Blake was like, well, you know, Brian and I have been kicking around this idea for a while where it's a little bit like, hey, sourced is this dirty word, right? Like in the bourbon industry, like why does it have to be dirty? Like it almost is. We're sitting on barrels that we're wanting to blend, that we're wanting to put out there, that we're trying to get perfect. And how do we get rid of that stereotype a little bit within the bourbon community? And it's like, well, I don't know. Like let's introduce the party that does this a little bit of the tasting and is like doing the like physical movement of the liquid. So, you know, that we kind of came to this perfect point where we were all talking about the same thing at the same time, and sourced became the, you know, the idiocy of the brand. It's like there's no need to frill it up. Like
it's like a non-story story. Yeah,
it talks for itself. So yeah, I think that's where it kind of came from. So yeah, my background with Manifest and, you know, all of that is that I started in the warehouse very much so. I've been working with Blake for about 4.5 years now, and
I'm glad that you said working with. I thought you may say like having to deal with.
I get my brow beaten a little bit on it, but no, like you know, like I've been a part of almost every blend that, you know, for 4.5 years, you know, and to the point where I've pretty much tasted almost every barrel, you know, that you've released and blended and done with. And it's like, well, this makes the most sense. Why don't we start to highlight some of the big key barrels that are coming out of this? Because you'll taste through, let's say, a bourbon blend, and we'll call it humidor, right? Like, or specifically with this sourced that we are tasting today, like very delicious. It comes from the most recent wheated blend, right? It's a high wheat. And I thought that when I was tasting through it, there was this one specific barrel that stood alone. And why not isolate it, pull it through and say, hey, let's call this a little bit more than just a wheated barrel. Let's call this a hand selected, something that's more consumer based, like push it forward and say, oh, someone who handles all the barrels all the time is saying this tastes good. Yeah. And I'm not trying to highlight it any more than that. I'm just saying, you know,
here it is.
Try this. Like let's all try it.
It's better than average. Yeah. Which one of my stories favorite stories going way back, and you may not even remember this, but the first iteration of Seelbach's Private Reserve we ever did was this toasted French oak and maple. And I think we did that twice. And then we had some glass issues. We were hitting COVID times, and it was just chaos with everything coming in and out of the country. And it was probably a year after that, we had done that first release. And you're like, yeah, what are you going to do with that single barrel that I put up? I'm like, what single barrel? You're like, remember, you didn't have enough glass. So I put what was left of the blend into a second barrel, and that ended up becoming Seelbach's Toasted French Oak Maple 2.x. And I'm like, that was the first double oaked we ever did. That I'm like, I didn't even know you did that, but I'm really glad you did because it tasted so good. And like, man, maybe we're onto something here. But yeah, it is funny to think back about just all the blends you have tasted over the years, all the barrels you have tasted, not just Seelbach's, from Manifest to other contract clients, and to go through those. And that's why I always really love products like this, because it's not an idea and a brand and a product that was created in some boardroom somewhere with people looking at the spreadsheet. It's simply just created by people who love whiskey, someone who is around whiskey constantly, And it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to have a lot of frills on it whenever you just put something great into the bottle at a super great price. And so I'll lead in with that, with what's in the glass tonight. I know it's Kentucky bourbon. And I think, did you pick up a box there? I guess we could,
Yeah, I was going to maybe flirt with it a little bit here.
Yeah.
So the idea behind the entire project, and obviously it's not out there on the internet anywhere yet, or it's not a finished product whatsoever, but we're still in this like fluffing phase of going like, oh, we're bringing this to fruition. We're trying to bring it to market. And the idea is that we're trying to bring a direct to consumer product of 2 hand selected barrels. One being from Indiana, one being from Kentucky, both being cast strength and both being phenomenal selects, and hopefully batch over batch, that this is something that the consumer can grab and say, oh, I want to play with it. I want to, blend with it. I want to have it on its own. I found one of my, of the barrels of the batches of whatever. I want to give this away. I want to share it. It's like this whole story that kind of evolves on itself. But the idea is kind of like, you get to play blender. You get to play the part of being in the warehouse, selecting a barrel and tasting through it. You always get the sample, right? So here's a little bit of a reveal. Oh, yeah. It's the sourced,
the 2-pack.
2-pack. And so the idea is that you'd get 2 750s shipped to your house, and both of them being a single barrel select from yours truly, and each one being from either Kentucky, this is the Kentucky blend, or Indiana. So both.
I like it. Which, just like super minimal packaging, but it's like what a lot of our distiller experiences are like when we go into a blend of like, it's more than a sample because it's great bourbon that you could just drink on your own. But if you get a couple of these and it's like, all right, I've got 2 Kentuckys, 2 Indianas, let me see what it would taste like if I did 2 parts this, 3 parts that, and start building out your own blends. And I guess we should also say like the 2-pack for both bottles is under $100. And that's the idea. It's just, it's great bourbon. It's have fun with it. It's almost like the Erector set that you played with as a kid, where it's like, just you get all the pieces and you start building things, and it can drink the bottle on their own because super affordable and super good value, but also you can start seeing, if you want to be an at-home master blender as well.
Yeah, I think, in my own office, I always keep a tiny barrel that has a revolving door. It's like a little bit of that, a little bit of this, sample of whatever. And, sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, but it's always this perfect blend of like, I don't know, it's fun to play with, like, what is it today? What is it going to be if I add a little bit of this? What is it going to be if I add a little bit of that? And so I think that Source is this like perfect example of being like, listen, you're getting what I'm getting out of barrels that I think are tasty. Mm-hmm. And then what you do with them on your end is your business.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do anything about it. So
it's like an infinity bottle, but somebody gave us a little too much responsibility and access.
Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of the guessing work away. You don't have to taste through some of those barrels that fall a little flat. They're going to be blending barrels that have a bit of a fatty note. These are those high note barrels. These are the ones that are pretty tasty. Mm-hmm. So the one that we're tasting through today, the one that we're getting into on day 11 of Advent, is a high wheat. It's a Green River OZ Tyler barrel. Like, it's delicious. It's really velvety. It's got some to me, I was tasting through it today to like bring me back into the presence of it. I'm constantly getting into other stuff, so it took me a minute to be like, oh yeah, sourced. This thing is like amazing.
That's why I like this.
I keep coming back to this one element about it is it's a little applesaucey. Like I love a little cinnamon applesauce. Like it's got this delicious velvet applesauce cinnamon note, and I think it's very Christmassy. And I think when the Advent calendar was coming around the old dinner table here, I was like, yeah, let's do this one. This one seems right. So
yeah, no, that's the fun part of it. And for those watching, I was in the warehouse and there's one barrel with like red chalk around it, and I think it like hold written real small. Then I go back and there's like now a big X on it. Then you go back and it's like in about a foot high letters of hold, do not touch.
Get away. Stop it.
You know, whenever you try something and it's like, wow, this really just pops and it's different from the lot. You're like, yeah, that I don't want this to accidentally go into a blend. This is really good and special. And and that's, I mean, spot on with like the applesauce. I think it is a lot of that just drier, fruitier notes, not dry notes, but like dried fruit notes. A little bit of that cinnamon spice, but just super tasty. Brian, thoughts on the pour so far? Are you even drinking? I was trying to watch to see if you're. Oh, okay. There we go.
I've refilled the glass like 4 times, I think.
Brian's like, I'm on day 22 of samples. Where are y'all? Like,
yeah, this is one of the fun things, especially if it comes in a set with a Kentucky and Indiana too, because I think in my head I feel like it is the kind of apple tell that generally leans a bit more of a Kentucky vibe than an Indiana vibe, but because of that, what you're calling that kind of velvety mouthfeel. It almost does like you do kind of get Indiana kind of feelings or kind of tells from it. All that to say, the goal with something like this would just be that you have something that's grabbable, portable, and you can kind of break away from things like that, right? Like this is a little off topic, but one of the things that I found interesting about like older sourced Willets is that Willet seemed to pull from all of these places. Like under their library, I didn't feel like there was another distillery that could showcase all the flavors that whiskey offered like Willet did, because they've had barrels from everybody. But if you were to take like an old Willet and then compare it to an old Brown-Forman thing versus an old Heaven Hill thing versus an old Beam thing, they kind of have their own tells, but then you start to realize if you didn't actually know, you may second guess yourself, right? Yep. And I think that there's something about whiskey that like there are common flavors throughout, and in having something like this, it just asks you to slow down and say, can't good whiskey just be good whiskey? and not have to actually worry about if it is from Kentucky, if it is from Indiana, it should just be, do you enjoy it at the price? Like that's like, you don't have much. It doesn't have to. The goal would be to over impress without having to, to sell itself as anything other than what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I agree with. It's like, I mean, we love a backstory. We love fancy bottles, but at the end of the day, like, can good whiskey just be good whiskey? And yeah, to Shannon's comment, yes, on the label, it says exactly what the mash bill is, age, distillery, as long as it would continue to be one that could be on the label. But yeah, the idea is to have that label have as much as the real information as possible on there. And with the bottles that Chris held up, it's all just laid out there. So really excited for those. It'll be a lot of fun. And so Chris, now what was the kind of the inner how'd you get into the business? I know you're somewhere before, and you want to dive into that at all?
Sure. Yeah. So I did not go to school at all.
I was going to say, I dropped out of elementary and I have been working in distilleries.
No. I graduated here in Jacksonville, and I went out to Colorado as kind of this young, dumb, and someone who has been homebrewing, for a long time. And I got there and I very much kind of like took on the life of someone who was a little bit freewheeling and somehow landed at Coors. Like I had a good friend who was driving a forklift there, and she was the head of their sensory program at the Coors brewery. And she said, I'm not able to drive forklift any longer, and I need to back away and focus on the sensory part of things. And I said, well, I know how to drive forklift. Do you want me to get into that? And she was like, yeah, that would take some load off my shoulders and that'd be great. And so I started driving forklift at her position, and it was just part-time at first. And I was carrying mail for USPS. And then eventually, as I was doing a little forklifting, I noticed that one of the brewers was like doing a dry hop and was doing some biofining and doing some stuff in the cellar. And I said, I know what you're doing. I do this at home. Is there any way that I could, on my off hours, help you out? And he said, yeah, of course. And then so very quickly I, progressed into becoming a brewer in the R&D area, of course. So I did research and development in that section, which was called AC Golden. And I worked for them for a long time. I mean, I think I got a good 10 years under my belt, and eventually wound up being the head cellarman under that branding, and eventually moved on. And I wound up moving back to Jacksonville, where on day one, I moved here in June, and the day after I got here, I started working at Manifest as a distiller. So there was no downtime, and started pursuing my passion again, which has always been fermentation. Like, I'm a big fermentation person. I think that yeast is always kind of like this unsung hero within the flavor profile of all alcohol. And I've always kind of like strapped my big nerd belt on and said like, oh yeah, if you like good alcohol, you like good yeast. And so like, that's where I've gotten my head start in. And then after doing that and getting into all this contract work, and I think Blake was talking about this a little earlier about how many different contracts I work with. I think over the years I've been with 25 different people and different products, and each person has different amount of SKUs under them. And so, I've really had a good hand in a number of different pools here, there is another product that I like to support here at Seelbach, and it's the Laborer's Blend. Mike Mullis and I put our heads together, and we started this whole kind of blend of something that is supposed to be the tip of the hat to the blue-collared worker within the industry, right? Like, I want the distiller's distiller to grab the Laborer's Blend, sit down and go like, this is what I pour at the end of the night, because I know that it's made by someone who makes something, right? So like, that's my whole ethos, is I want everything to be approachable for everybody. I want there to be a bottle that's out there that you can trust, that if I've put my name on it, that you should drink it. And like, that's pretty much it. Like, there's no bells, no whistles, all blue collar, all everything. So
which that does, yeah, I was going to say, could we call this makers, like makers of makers? Does that get us right away?
I think that's fine.
Is there
I think that's
any chance that clears? And also, why did we not use head cellarman as your title? I didn't know that was an actual title. And
hold on, I like to sell it.
Okay. That's fair
little
point.
slang term from the guys who know.
Fair point. Yeah, it is really cool. And one of my favorite stories is I think Emily was telling me, like, you go to these local breweries or whatever back in Jacksonville, and I go to a brewery, I'm like, beer's pretty good. I like it, enjoyed. And she's like, Chris sits down and he's like, oh, the yeast is off. I bet they were off on this fermentation with the temperature and this and that. She's like, could we just have a beer? Could we?
The definition of buzzkill, like
yeah. It's like if I go to a steakhouse and I'm like, actually, y'all didn't cook this right, let me walk back there and
yeah, but within the industry you have these buzz terms, you have the things that like say, like if I've said this before, like if you're a brewer, usually you make a good distiller, but if you're a good distiller, you don't always make a good brewer, right? Like it's not always cross compatible, but there's things that you ask for within the industry that you can like tip your hat and say like, I know what I'm talking about, like that's going. And for brewing, it's can I have your Pilsner? And it's like it's this clean German style beer that you can't hide anything behind versus a big stout. You can have something that's got all this flavor, this components. It's like, but the beautiful part about whiskey, bourbon, like the spirit space, is that it is so quintessential on the person who's tasting it, right? Like you can say, oh, I'm tasting this note, I'm tasting that note, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's what you like. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Keep finding it. Like get out there and find it. Everyone's kind of starting from the same block. There's not these big flavors that you're going to always be hiding behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that was my thing early on the Seelbach stuff. And people would say like, oh, I want a craft whiskey that tastes like Four Roses. And it's like, well, Four Roses is fantastic. Just go buy that. Like I can't tell you you're going to love this craft whiskey if you don't like what they are. And I think people have started to come around that. And in general, I feel like proof is usually the kind of the stout or the hops of the whiskey world, because a lot can be hidden behind a high proof. And I get the take of like, I can proof it down myself if I want to, but you get some whiskeys where it's like, oh man, this is really good. And then you start adding water to it and you're like, oh, there's some interesting stuff going on here that's just getting drowned out by the higher proof. But
and a little vice versa, right? Like you can you can find ones that taste really good at proof, and then once the giant cube starts to melt, you start going, well, I'm finding some differences here on the lower notes, that I wasn't so privy to. And so as someone who's like is in love with fermentation, is in love with the blending, is in love with all the flavors, it's like we taste them through all components, right? So like when I sat down with Source today, a little, nervous about doing this, online thing, I made sure that I tasted it at proof, and I made sure that I tasted it throughout the cube, right? So that I could see where it ended. And I was never really saying, oh, it's lacking in this portion. And I kept finding that the apple note was high, that there was the wheated note in the grain section of the flavor profile kept dipping into the sweetness a little bit more, into that like honey grain, the cereal note. And to me, it's a good whiskey. It's a good bourbon. It tastes delicious.
Well, I was going to join you in proofing this down slightly just to see how it did, but then Brian got on to me about sitting down and then getting back up to go get water. So
no, do it. No, I didn't get on you about it. I just said I said I think he's going to sneak in at the very end, but he might need to get up and get some water.
I'm a creature of habit. What can I say?
You're welcome to get up and get water.
Yeah, which I guess
hydration. Remember,
hydration is important this time of year with all the tastings we have going on. But would love to hear from people in the comments. Like we've seen some really good comments so far about the flavors. What are people getting? Is it that apple note? Is it something else? Yeah, I would agree that it tastes below its proof because this is at 115, which for me, like that 110 to 120 is kind of a sweet spot. You know, the flavor's still there. You still get the heat. That old Kentucky hug of things of where you feel it all the way down at first. But yeah, what's everybody else getting from this? And who's ready for January launched of Source? I think is the can we get a raise of hands and scan this QR code?
Yeah, I think one of the key features of this thought process was let's keep this decanter going. Like I want to have this fun decanter where I'm taking two different types of bourbon and I'm doing the little blending. I'm having a fun time, but I'm doing it at my own bar, I'm tired of always doing like the big batches in the warehouse. I want to have a little bit of bar top fun with it. So that's kind of the idea that I came from.
And I will say there were decanters. I'm pretty sure I'm responsible for where those test decanters went. I don't know. I
might have dropped them off at a high school basketball game.
I saw them. I could have sworn they were put on a pallet, but yes, the decanters definitely need to be a part of this because I think that's the fun thing too. Is like it is that infinity blend. I think did Aaron Goldfarb make that popular back in the day? Was he the first one to write about that with the infinity blend? But that's where I think something like this source is great because it's like continuously finding new sources. Like they may not all be Kentucky, they may not all be Indiana, they may not all be the same distillery, different ages, different places, and you've just got this evolving thing where I know the decanters we had where it's like you could mark on there essentially what it was, so then you can track what's in there for the blend. But yeah, and somebody asked a question about hosting a blending session with insights. That would be a lot of fun around the release of kind of like a home blend of, all right, now it's 1 part Kentucky to 3 parts Indiana, and now do the reverse, and everybody's hammered by the end of it because you just go through so much. Yeah.
One of the things that I did want to bring to light is that this particular barrel that was used for this was aged in Jacksonville for about a year, and I think we're starting to have this unwritten story about Florida aged bourbons and barrels that are saying like, well, what is Florida adding to the whole of whiskey? It's like, are we getting this hyper age? Are we getting, wild swings? I mean, I know in North Florida that we get really cold winters for a short period of time and extremely
for a day. Yeah.
So it's like, what is that adding? And then we're gonna start like opening this book eventually that's called Florida Aging.
Yeah.
And it's gonna have a story of its own. And so I did want to call that out in this one single barrel select, is that it's been sitting there for a year in Florida, which means it's seen a full cycle of seasons. But what is it to say that when we get a barrel that's selected for source, that's going to be aged in Florida for no time, like it lands, it's selected, it's ready to go. Or we have, a honey barrel that's been sitting here for, 4 or 5 years, and we're ready to release it. It's got these huge oaky notes that are over the top. So I think that's kind of the fun part that we get to play with, is it's a multiple landing spot. It's sourced from Kentucky, from Indiana, but then it's coming to a location in Jacksonville where we're playing with it, we're going with it. So
yeah. And the Florida agent's always interesting, where obviously we get the heat, but we do get the cold weather as well. It's like, is it cold enough, long enough for that thermal mass of a barrel to drop low? Well, it's not going to drop too low because we're just not cold enough. But I mean, we've got an experiment going on. I guess I won't say who it is because they're not on here, but where somebody sent us barrels at 9 months old, I think it was. They've been here for over 4 years, I believe. And the sister barrels from that same lot, same distillery, everything have been aging in Kentucky for the last 4+ years. And eventually there'll be like a 2-pack release of what did it do in Florida compared to Kentucky. I mean, even something that was bottled this week, 9-year-old MGP bourbon for one of the clients, and it's been here for 4 years, I think. I think those were like early or maybe early 22, late 21 that those came down here. And it's like it's 9-year-old bourbon. It's almost half of its life in Florida. It is just cool to see how those things make a difference and to taste them. Obviously I love Jacksonville, so I hope it improves them. It's not like, oh man.
Hopefully we don't look back on this story.
But that is the fun part. Well, cool. I don't want to take up too much time. I was like, we're going to hit one of these where we stay within the time limit we tell everyone, and then we're at like 41 minutes, and I'm like, I still have a few other questions but no, this has been fun. Super excited to see this roll out. And yeah, Chris, thanks for joining us. Any closing thoughts as we close out Sourced Advent Calendar Day?
I would only like to say, like, thank you for the Advent Calendar in general. I think it's like really a great way for us all to come together as a community and be like, these are some fun tasting experiences that we're all unfolding, and then we're getting to, one at a time hit day after day. It's so rare that we open an Advent calendar and get to discuss, and that people within the community are saying, hey, here are interesting notes. Here are things that I want to contribute. Here's some of the aspects that I dislike, whatever. I think it's a learning experience for all of us, but in general, it's an open conversation that we're getting to have. So I really do appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you, Seelbach team. This is great.
Absolutely. I guess I should also ask, was the Advent calendar the worst thing your team had to do this year?
Oh man, I'm not going to say what the worst is. The Advent calendar, so you guys made it in, but just by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah. Somebody else beat us at the line, and no, it was. I mean, at the end of the day, the whole thing turned out fantastic. So we were super thankful. I think we bought the team lunch one day, all to find out that the booklet were behind on printing. So then we came back the next week. We're like, okay, lunch one more time, guys. We're really promise we're going to knock it out today.
Lunch for everybody again.
Yeah. But well, cool. Brian, any closing thoughts on your side other than we'll be back? Let's see, when are we back?
That's what I was going to say. I was just going to thank everybody for tuning in, for Chris for being on. And as a reminder, so it's the 11th. So we have a bit of a break. We're back again on the 17th. So we have 4 more, 17th, 19th, 21st, 22nd, and then a supposed pre-recording on the 24th.
Going live. I've already decided I'm going live.
Unless Blake has had enough that he's going to jump into it. For all you guys. So who knows what the 24th may bring, but so 4.5 more of these to go. We will be back here on the 17th. Just if you follow the channel, you'll see it saying upcoming. We figured out how to do that. So now, like, throughout the day, it'll just be like upcoming. You can click to wait or whatever, and we'll get going. And again, as a reminder, this I was pointing the right way that time. This right here will take you to the page to show you all of the stuff that we've been releasing. You guys probably don't know that though, because you have it in the book. And again, the thing that I love, I don't really know the best way to have you all do it, but whether it's here, whether it's email, whatever it is, please let us know how you're enjoying the Advent calendar, because that's the only way that we truly know whether it was worthwhile. I think we believe that it was worthwhile. I think people so far are enjoying it, but that's the thing I've realized in like kind of all of my years of hospitality is that people don't often, you hear the complaints a lot more than you hear people talking about how good it is. So we'd like to think that it's good, but we'd love to hear if it is. So please let us know what you guys think about the Advent calendar.
In Instagram, that's for me been one of the most fun parts, is just all the photos that we're seeing pop up of people cracking them open on the days. And
we're supplying so many content creators December. They were like, what are we ever gonna, an Advent calendar? My whole month is planned.
Here we go. We're all set for the month of December, but awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. Chris, Brian, thanks for jumping on as well. This has been a lot of fun and excited to see it coming out soon. We will see everybody in about 6 days, 5 days,
6 days.
Wherever it is.
Right.
Yeah,
sometime. So we'll see you.
Have a good night,
we'll see you on
everyone.
the 17th.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.